guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something that I had mentioned in one of my, I think it was my favorites video a month or so ago, and people said that they were interested, and I try to incorporate the books that I'm reading or that I'm really enjoying into my favorites videos and some lifestyle stuff. And right now I have found myself in a place reading wise that I have not been in since I was like a teenager, which is I have like 8 books that I have started reading and haven't finished. And I'm just usually not that type of reader. I will usually pick a book, read it, and be done with it. I also have been reading since I could read, you know, and I love it. I love to read. I can finish a book in like 2 or 3 days if I have enough time, and I work. So I am the type that it's like, it'll be midnight and I'll still be reading if it's a really good book. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because there's a lot here. So this is going to be like a what I'm reading now and my TBR, which is my to be read. So they're all kind of to be read because I'm reading most of them, but let's get started. I started reading The Martian. For those of you who don't know, The Martian is a book that came out, and this is written by Andy Weir. I think it's Weir. A movie recently came out last year with Matt Damon, and it is some astronauts that went to not the moon, they went to Mars and landed on Mars. They were doing some missions, and there's like some kind of weird sandstorm, and they have to take off and leave, and they think that he dies, but he doesn't die. And that's not giving anything away because that's in the previews, and that's kind of on the book, on the back description here. And he's left there to fend for himself on Mars, and he's a botanist and an astronaut, so he's amazingly genius, and you know, it's just his journey, and it's really funny, and I loved the movie. And like I said, I'm halfway through this. I also bought Allegiant, which is from the Divergent series, and I read all of the books already, and I listened to the audiobook for Allegiant. The movies now are taking such a different turn from the book that I wanted to reread the book and figure it out. This is the last book in the series, and the movie split it into 2 movies. So I have this, and you guys can see like I have only read like a very little bit. I'm in no rush to read this just because the last movie doesn't come out maybe till November or something like that. So I have some time, but that's another one that I started and probably shouldn't have. So I'm just going to shelf that for a little bit. Now, let's see. These are ones that I'm reading, and I need to hurry up and finish them. I'm going to start with, I'm going to finish this one next. This is The Crown from Kiera Cass, and this is a whole series, the Selection series that she has. These books, they have beautiful covers. The Selection, this is again another dystopian kind of book series, and this is set off into God knows how many years in the future, and society is split up into these caste systems, like caste, like basically different classes. One is like the royalty, 2 is just like really rich people, and then, you know, down to like 8, which is like really poor people, and you are just living your life in this class, and the opportunities given to you, the jobs expected of you and given to you, who you can marry, if you can marry, is all determined on that. And anytime there's a princesses are married off, but the prince from the royal family, he goes through a selection process, and they pick people, you know, girls from all the different classes to come, and it's almost like The Bachelor. It's exactly like The Bachelor. Come and, you know, win his affection, and ultimately they'll become the queen. And that's how the Selection series started, and this is The Crown, so this is the new king and queen's daughter, and she's going through her own selection process, which is the first ever heard of. And this is the last book in the series. There's a whole bunch. I think there were like 3 or 4 books in the first one, Selection series, and then they have like the little novellas talking about like her best friend's story and the, you know, the original queen's story, which I really like because you get more background info. So this is The Crown. I got this a few days ago, and I'm halfway through it, so I'm expecting to finish this like in 2 days, to be completely honest. Before this video goes up, I'm filming this on a Saturday. I know I'll probably have this done by the time I go to work on Monday. And I don't know when this video is going up, so this will be done. But I really like it. I enjoy these kind of frivolous little books. I'm 34 and I don't care. These were made for like preteens, but I still like them. On that note, similarly, this is Stars Above, the Lunar Chronicles collection, and this is by Marissa Meyer, and this was actually in my favorites, and I am almost halfway done with this guy. And I should have just shown you on the back here. The Lunar Chronicles, Again, it's another dystopian era kind of series, set off into the future. The world is divided to different continents, different countries, and it's kind of like the Earth versus Luna, which is the moon, and the moon actually has people living there, the lunar people, and it's a cross between fairy tales, The Terminator, and Star Wars, and that's exactly what it is. So the first book is Cinder, and each book is based off of a fairy tale. So Cinder is based off of Cinderella, and the character Cinder is half, not android, half like cyborg. And then Scarlet is based off of Little Red Riding Hood, and then Cress is Rapunzel, and then Fairest is actually based off of the Lunar Queen, and she's like really bad and crazy, and you know, she hates her stepdaughter, who is Winter, which is the last book that just came out, and that's, you know, based off of not Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. And so the whole fairest, you know, who's the fairest of them all, and that kind of thing. So Stars Above is the most recent book, and I believe it's the last one, which makes me sad because I really love this series, but even though it's the last book, this kind of predates all of them because it goes into everyone's backstory from when they were like really little. And like I said, I love that kind of stuff because it's just adding depths and layers to a story that you have loved already, and you're like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. And for the most part, I haven't been disappointed. So this is another book I love. And let me actually I can't even show you. I'll try to insert a picture if I can, but there's a book. I was reading the digital version through my public library, and then it didn't renew, so like someone else checked it out, and I was waiting for like 3 weeks. But there's a book called Wolf by Ryan Groden, and this book, I'm like about halfway through with that also. So this is an ebook, really good book. This is set in like Nazi Germany, but if it took the different turn. So Hitler rose to power, he took over, he actually was winning the war, he won the war, and it's spreading, and this is the world that everyone lives in now. And there's this cross-continent race on like dirt bike, motorcycle kind of things that goes on with like the youth, and it rallies the world and all this stuff. And the previous year, a girl won it, and now there's a girl who has gone through a lot of stuff, and I believe she is Jewish born, but she was in the camps and went through things with her family and lost everybody and was traumatized, and doctors took her and genetically enhanced and changed her, and she can actually morph to look like anybody, like absolutely crazy. She can change her features and just looks completely different. So she's taking on that girl who won the race the previous year. She's taking her on. They kidnapped her, and she's pretending to be her so she can win the race, enter the race, win the race, meet Hitler, because that's what happens at the end, and kill him. That's the goal. Now, this is Black Eyed Susans from Julia Haberlin, and look at this cover. Creepy. This book was recommended to me by Ellis for Living. There's this horrible person who is kidnapping and killing girls and leaving them in a grave, and they're called the Black Eyed Susans. And this one girl he left for dead, and she is alive, and she doesn't remember a lot of things. It jumps from like back then when it was happening to present day. The guy was convicted, and is he going up for parole or something like that? Like I said, it's been a couple of months since I was reading this because I started reading all these frivolous books, but you know, the time is coming, or I don't think he's coming up for parole. I think it's his I think they're gonna kill him. I think it's like he has a death penalty, maybe one of those two. I know they're complete opposites, but you know, but now there's all this like DNA stuff, and you know, so much time has passed that our science has come a long way. So they're trying, you know, people are trying to prove him innocent. And this girl who survived such a horrible thing obviously wants to believe that the guy in jail, the guy who's gonna die, the guy that was convicted, is the one who did this, as opposed to the real killer being out there, maybe even watching her, you know, and that's a huge fear of hers. So this is crazy, really good, but it is one of those books where like you have to be in the mood because it is so serious and intense, which is why I kind of stopped reading it for a little while, because I wanted to read something frivolous, and then I read 10 things that were frivolous. Now, on another plane ride, I bought this book, Not That Kind of Girl, A Young Woman Tells You What She Learned. And this is by Lena Dunham. And I like the cover. I like how colorful and bright it is. It caught my eye. I mean, when you're buying it at an airport, that's what happens. And I don't know who she is. I know her name. I don't know if she's a comedian or an actress, but I know her name. But it's just really funny. And this is just her story. It did reach #1 New York Times bestseller. And it's just kind of like essay style. There were like some little pictures that she'll draw in there. Is any of it showing? You know, whatevs. But it's light reading. I'm only about a quarter of way through with this guy. These 4 I haven't read. This is Room, not The Room, just Room by Emma Donoghue. And I don't really even know what this is about, but it says love knows no boundaries. Room is home to Jack, but to Ma, it's the prison where she's been held for 7 years. She's created a life for her son in this 11 by 11 foot space. I don't know, were they kidnapped in here? What is going on? So this is just another book, and I feel like, was this made into a movie? Probably, yeah, now a major motion picture. Astounding, terrifying, super intense. So this is another book. These are like little books that I'll like throw in my suitcase when I'm traveling. And then there's Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. Now I follow, oh, what's her name? She has a book club, and this was one of the books, one of the months, and I decided to grab it. And yeah, this is just like, I think this is another one that's just like different essays and things. Essays, but it's not like, when I think essay, I think of college, you know, like writing an essay. That's the ice in my fridge. But this is supposed to be a really good book, Bad Feminist. I don't really know much about it, but it's supposed to be good. So I decided to go ahead and grab that also. So that's another book that I am planning on reading. And then I have these two. This is it, guys. I'm finally done. You guys know I love the Dorothy Must Die series. Now, I read, oh gosh, I have all of them right now. And they're so good. I've mentioned them previously in favorites and things like that. Really good books. They are from, written by Danielle Page. And this series is, I know it's like Dorothy Must Die. This is the Wizard of Oz series, but it's after the fact. So it's like, what the heck happened after the Wizard of Oz that now Dorothy must die? She goes back to Oz, turns into a crazy person, rules with an iron fist. All this craziness is going on. And it kind of chronicles over several books. And this new girl comes around and ends up having to go and like save the world. It's really, really good. The Yellow Brick War is the most recent book in the series. So the main character's name is Amy, and she's also from Kansas, and it's years later, and she knows all about Dorothy and blah, blah, blah. And she has to go to Oz, and she's kind of like the protagonist trying to save the world, and super unwillingly. I'm the other girl from Kansas, and I have a job to do. So she's definitely sassy. Her job is to join the witches, fight for Oz, kill Dorothy, stop a yellow brick war. Really excited to read this. I love these books. I love them. And then, like I said with some of the first books that I was reading, I really like when a series that you love will give you the little side novellas. And this is, I read some of the other ones, and then this is volume 2. This is Heart of Tin, The Straw King, Ruler of Beasts. So it gives their 3 stories, because they're completely different now that Dorothy had returned and all that stuff. Like, they're completely different. And this kind of explains how and why and what happened. So excited to read that too. So I would read this one first and then this guy. But that's it, guys. Yeah, just 1 or 2 books. That's what I'm reading. I know it's like across the gamut. We have like dystopian, we have futuristic, we have some like feminist stuff, real life stories, some, you know, scary things here. And this is kind of my reading style. It's like all over the place. But like I said, this is the first time I've had so many books like open in the middle of reading, and I'm not about that life. I have to stop. So I'm gonna make this happen. I love checklists, I love making lists, and I love crossing things off my to-do list. So this is gonna be it. I am on a goal to finish these books. And all of these I'll definitely have done by the end of the year, like, and then some, just because like I said, I read a lot. But in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think of these books, if you've read them, or if you're thinking of getting them, or any books that you recommend to me, because I will always, 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 always love to add some of your suggestions to my TBR, to be read book reading list. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay beautiful and stay blessed. Bye guys.